Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you guys so much for watching. I return an ATS, and I am back in this mod. You can actually get a Cummins engine in this truck, even. I didn't do that. I could have. Oh, we're not doing that one. Sorry. Oh god. Yeah, you saw nothing, eh? Good. And you know nothing either. Got it? So, I'm putting an automatic in here. It'll be a 3-speed automatic, but at this point I don't really care. The old transmission needs to be put back in it. So, I recall a moment in time where I promised you guys that I'd tell you guys a little bit of a story on back in my last 2 years of my high school years. And before I do that, I must say this has been pre-recorded on March 27th of 2025. You won't see this until March 29th. Um, but yeah. So, as some of you guys may have known, I was a cadet teacher for a couple of years, for kindergarten through first grade. Now, you might be wondering why that's important right now, because truthfully, it's not. But there's more to that story. I've already screwed this up. But, yeah, I was a cadet teacher for kindergarten through first grade physical education. When I first arrived, they were all kind of like, oh, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure about this here. But Jesus. When time progressed, they actually were pretty good. Uh-oh. Can't hold that. Okay, what happened to my trailer? That's not it. Something happened to my trailer. But, yeah, the kids were a little, they were shy, rightfully so. But what they didn't know was, and what they actually didn't know was that they were going to see me for an entire school year. So when I came along, and they had no clue I was coming. So it was a big surprise when I came in. And I pause because for one thing I gotta remember what I'm talking about. But there was actually I'm gonna move forward from there because I'm not gonna end up. I'm not gonna end up finishing the story if I don't keep focused. But by the time we finally got used to each other, we actually we had a blast. Actually, I actually proven to them I was more than happy to be a friend of theirs. However, because I was a cadet teacher at the time, I was strict when I had to. Otherwise, I was everybody's friend. And we all had a blast, I'll tell you what. I probably could actually put the manual transmission back in. Or I can sleep it off and pretend nothing happened. I remind you, I'm driving a dually. Actually, I might even put in the Cummins back in, just for the sake of it. Who knows? Just Cummins swap this. But, yeah. Ooh. Too much brakes. But yeah, and when we started, they were all still getting to know me, really. So I wasn't very concerned about anything. What difference did it make? But yeah, I was strict when I had to be, and this actually goes to a different story. But, oh. Okay, I didn't realize that's going to be a thing. Alright. Air brake simulation comes off. Goody. Alright. But, yeah, elementary school had the biggest time of their lives. because I won't be able to move on to a different part of the story, I'm going to tell you something that I think was absolutely amazing. But yeah, there it is. I hate when I have to do that. Because now, let's see if we can get that load. Actually, we might be able to do this one. Nope. I'll have to get my trailer. Not okay. I don't like that this has an air horn. Although I guess I'll make it work. How about we go with Trailer Manager, Gooseneck, use it. Cool. But, yeah. But, oh no. That's fine. No, don't drive. Well, I guess, yeah. I'm gonna do quick jobs instead. The sad thing is I actually liked that truck. Ahem. But I'm getting off topic. There was a time But there was a time where I actually saw a student slap another. It was all over who was line leader that day. I was very calm about it. I didn't make a big deal out of that, however, I did pull the student aside. I pulled the student aside. And I basically just... I asked the student what all of this was all about. It was a moment where I actually had to ask the class who was actually line leader. Because that's a little thing in elementary school, just for the record. I was not very surprised that it happened. And truthfully, it was not okay to begin with. I addressed that part. Because at no point should anybody be hitting each other. But, and the teacher at the time was actually, they basically just, or she basically helped me with this situation. I don't normally do the punishing there. I never did the punishing there. I just did more of the... I was more of the fun guy slash strict when I needed to be kind of guy, not the bad guy that everybody hates the most. Which was great, because that was the goal, was to not have everyone hate me, so, you know. Because it's not a good feeling when someone does not like you as a teacher, let alone a cadet teacher.
Stay right, and then turn right.
I mean, I can understand son of a gun.
Turn right.
But yeah. Teacher told them to take a timeout. Rightfully so. The person who slapped the other student should not have done it. There was no reason for it. And truthfully, I didn't really care who was line leader that day. I was more disturbed with the fact that somebody just got slapped in the face.
Go straight. Stay right, and then turn right. Turn right.
And like I said, there was no reason for it. So, when the teacher told me to go ahead and tell the student that they can join the class, I also took the moment to have a little heart-to-heart with the student.
Right. turn right.
Because none of the behavior that was witnessed that day was okay. It was actually something that actually disturbed me, really. I never enjoy it when kids try to fight with each other. But and ever since then, I've never had problems with a student. But what I told the student was, you know, I didn't really care what happened or who is supposed to do what, because hitting is not allowed in the school whatsoever anyway. I was well aware of that from when I was there in school. But I like that, actually. But I asked the student, and to answer the question honestly, because we gave him a good amount of time for this student to think about it. I asked the student, what exactly could you have done differently that you would do now? And the student, actually being incredibly young, actually answered me correctly with a never do it again, and so on and so forth.
Stay left. Stay right. And then exit right. Exit right.
And I even went ahead, asked this student what I could have done differently if there was anything differently, and they actually and this student actually was a real angel, really, with me. Said nothing really, as far as the student was concerned was actually well, I asked what the student could have done differently.
Stay right, and then turn right.
Well, and student
Turn
just
right.
was a real angel and actually and I asked what she should do now that it has happened. Didn't really get a response I kinda wanted to get from her on that, so I kinda helped her with it. Kindly, that is.
Stay left.
I was incredibly kind about it. I had just told her it might be a better idea to apologize later after class, so we're not distracting anybody. Mind you, they're still learning. Kindergarten through first is still technically learning, you know, respect and everything else. And I understood that part, which was why I was incredibly calm about the whole situation. But the class, God bless them, that I actually asked the class who was line leader, it did turn out to be but I was incredibly surprised when it happened. I kind of expected something like that to happen.
Stay right, and then turn right.
Didn't realize
Turn
that day
right.
was going to be the day for it, but you know. I actually had actually, I'm going to rephrase. The biggest thing out of that whole situation was I witnessed the whole thing. Because the reason why I was there was because I was wanting to teach them the whole fact that pouting about certain things when they don't get their way is not the answer to their problems. They may not like the denial for certain things. They shouldn't be pouting. Because in the long run, if they're just there pouting, nothing's going to get done. Nothing's going to be accomplished out of it. Except for the fact that they were just told no. But we had a nice heart-to-heart. It actually went really well, and ever since then, I've never had a problem with her. Or anybody else. Now that didn't stop people from misbehaving. I'm not going to go into brief detail on that. But they always loved giving me hugs. That's what probably built the rapport for them. I mean, I've always seen them doing so with teachers. There was nothing else that was done. I just let it happen and just went along my day. I think their favorite part is the fact that I'm a first responder. And at that point, everybody in that school knew me by name. I haven't even learned everybody's names at that point. I still haven't learned everybody's names. But they were a lot of fun. And I think the biggest thing that happened in their lives was the fact that I would always join them when it came to games. I was always there when they wanted someone to talk to. If they're having a bad day, I always was there to listen. Because the only thing I want to accomplish out of those things is the fact that I want them to have a great day and feel like they can enjoy school. They may not like school, but that doesn't stop them from enjoying what happens there. In fact, it shouldn't. At no point should it. So, yeah. I was always there as emotional support when it was needed. The whole idea behind all of that was so they can get all their problems off their chest. Because I speak from experience. That's what causes mental health issues. And I never spoke to anybody about their personal issues unless they're talking about harming themselves, which never happened. If it was something life-threatening to them, and I feel like they would totally do it, I would have totally mentioned something about it to to the teacher. But fortunately for me, I didn't have to deal with that. That was the last thing I was worried about with that group. But yeah, and they all knew that I was only there for a brief time in the mornings. I wasn't there all morning. I wish I could have. The only time I ever did was when we actually had finals week, where I was able to stay for more than two class periods, which meant I would have had more than maybe 2 or 3 hours with those guys. And those were my favorite days of the week when that all happens, because I love working with the kids, don't get me wrong. They're definitely something I would say that they give me different things every day. Personality-wise, that wouldn't be the case. The main thing I will say was I was successful with my goal in trying to be a friend rather than be the enemy. Now, that didn't stop some of the drama. If you thought that wasn't going to be the case, no, there was drama. Yeah, there was drama. I say that 3 times because most of the drama actually most of the dramas started by when the teacher was the one that caught them not following the rules. Now, the teacher even trusted me so much with the class. She even let me deal with them by myself. I've proven to her I was more than capable. So she could do whatever she needed to do. And every time I would have a heart-to-heart with students, I would periodically, just for situational awareness, which would also be me checking out or scanning the room to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and just to see where the teacher was should something happen. Fortunately, nothing happened during that moment, but yeah, and it was just a blast. I mean, shoot, when I actually told them that it was my last day there, I saw many of them, if not all of them, and actually shed a few tears.
Stay left.
And that's how much fun we had. And I told them that they will most certainly see me again. the matter of when was a whole different story. Now, I could technically actually visit them at any point of the day. But, well, I say that, but you never know. That might not be a thing anymore, that just might be me being old. But, things have changed since I've been in elementary school.
Rerouting.
But, when I first arrived, I kinda expected things to be different. And actually, I was actually surprised when I realized not a whole lot actually was different, but there were some different things that happened, or that has happened since I've been a student there. But yeah, I was happy about the fact that they actually were very quickly trusting in me, which is great because as a first responder, it's what I pray that they do, is have a little trust with me. And even just playing the same games they were, even participating in a few dance sessions, which was embarrassing on my part, but that's when the teacher actually encouraged me to do so. But, you know, I can't complain. It was fun. But it reminded me I needed more dance lessons that I've never started. But But I do want to say that I really had a whole lot of fun when it came to working with the students, because I even was the one that motivated a lot of students to join, or at least continue with the fun, because that's really the only time during school that you actually can run around, play around in games before recess time, lunch. That was my favorite part about physical education, is you could do whatever you please. Well, not really whatever you please. I should refrain. Or I should rephrase. Okay. And yeah, the students, I can't complain about them. They were actually the best group of students I think I've ever had. They definitely outnumbered the middle schoolers by a
Stay
long
right.
shot.
Then turn right.
I had to deal with that during state testing days, because I always started off at the middle
Turn
school.
right.
Yeah, I wasn't there at the elementary school the whole time. I was actually at the, I had to start off at the middle school, grading science papers, which was actually more entertaining, especially when someone gets all the answers wrong and writes a dear little note that says, "Please give me a good grade." And I was actually one of those, if there was a little comment with a certain question that I personally knew was wrong, and I didn't have to check the answer, the cheat sheet, as we all call it, you know it's wrong when
Stay
that
left.
happens, but what's even more interesting is when You can't even read this person's handwriting. There was a lot of times where I actually had to go up to the teacher while he was teaching to help me understand what this student said, because nobody, mind you, I had somebody to help me grade all the papers at the middle school, but I was all by my lonesome.
Stay left.
At the elementary school, which is fine because I can actually handle that whole thing pretty well. Only problem is not a soul would be able to hear me if I didn't have a megaphone. Fortunately, she let me borrow a megaphone. But
Stay left.
when state testing came around and I was given a choice between which class I could deal with, which told me that the person that was giving me points for doing cadet teaching said he didn't care what teacher I picked and gave me options, which was incredibly nice for him to tell me, because I ended up choosing middle school physical education. During that whole process, no, state testing was when middle school came around, or was when it was, no, I'm saying that right, yeah. Yeah, and what's even more interesting is they make a lot of inappropriate comments. I mean, go figure, they're middle schoolers, but they have the willpower of making you feel uncomfortable. Makes me really want to say, why would you even? But the elementary schoolers, they're just angels. Made me wish I worked there. And we had a parade that we do every year where the high school would actually, and I mean all of the high schoolers, would actually assemble, and the entire fire department actually empties not both stations. Yes, both stations. Depends on how many people we have at the other station, but usually we have an engine from the other station that comes around. Usually is the last truck you see in parades. But I didn't really expect everybody from the elementary school to actually know my entire name. And I also didn't expect them to actually shout out my name when they saw me in the passenger seat behind the officer seat, which is pretty much the seat for the firefighters. And the officer seat is actually the seat up front. Normally would have an SCBA pack. I should not have
Stay
gone
left.
that way. But yeah, they all shouted my name when I came around in the engine that was leading. And what was even better was, even though they were late, all the school buses even joined us. And they never do that. Of course, they were going to be stuck behind us regardless, so why wouldn't they join us anyway? But yeah. And that was, what, after I graduated, roughly? No. That was the day before the senior all-night party. If not the day of. Couldn't have been the day of. I'll have to ask, because they will remember. Not the students, or the teacher might, I don't know. But I wouldn't, I don't know. My parents would. But the day I graduated was actually very special to me, really. Because the day I graduated, and mind you, I was the last person to walk down the aisle. I usually walk slow, naturally, but sorry, had to yawn. The day of graduation, I just give a motion and everybody in the stands, actually no, I just give them a little gesture that says, well, it's been fun. And I had a little steel guitar playing music inside my head, just doing. But everybody in those grandstands cheered. Not only did they cheer, they stood up and cheered.
Go straight.
So if you couldn't tell me I haven't seen it all yet, I have a good relationship with the community.
Finding new route. Stay right, and then continue straight.
And that actually told
Go
me
straight.
a lot, because I was still a first responder at the time. Oh, and just to make my life a lot better, the fire chief and his wife came to the graduation. Now I think about it, that whole parade thing I talked about earlier was actually after I graduated, not before. Wasn't long after I had graduated.
Recomputing. Finding new route. Rerouting.
I'm actually here for...
When possible, make a U-turn. Recomputing. Go straight.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was the best thing I could have ever asked for the last 2 years of my high school year, and that whole story included the whole graduation part. I ended up going to the YMCA for my all-night party. And my parents actually stayed through the whole entire thing. They didn't plan on doing that, but they did. And I told them that it was perfectly fine. I wasn't too concerned about it.
Stay right, and then turn right. Turn right.
Wonder if I have to stop. Bet I do. No.
Stay left.
But yeah, my favorite part of it was pretty much that whole thing. Now we're not going to finish this load
Stay left.
today.
Finding new route.
So I'm going to go to a truck stop.
Go straight.
That I've never been to before.
Rerouting. When possible, make a U-turn.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, I always treated those students like they were my own children. I wouldn't do anything else. About it. And there was a lot of moments where I would periodically see that the teacher was wiping away tears from where she was at on the podium. But yeah. But I'm going to conclude it here, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you guys so much for watching, and God bless.